Welcome to Cooking with Courtney. I'm your host, Courtney. Today we're going to be making cherry pie, and I'm going to show you how to make a pie crust and a pie filling. Now, pies can be a little bit intimidating, but they're really very easy and very good. Let's talk about ingredients for a minute. In my bowl here, I have 2 cups of flour and 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add my fat, which in this case I'm going to use shortening, and we're going to add 2/3 a cup plus 2 tablespoons. So these are really great because you can just look over and cut instead of having to measure out and it gets all messy. So 2/3 plus 2 tablespoons of my shortening. And we're going to do something that's called cutting in the fat, which means any type of fat you're using, whether it be butter or shortening in this case, we're going to cut it into the dry ingredients, which just basically means I'm using a fork. You can use a pastry cutter if you have one, but you're basically just breaking up the shortening into the flour. And we want our little shortening pieces to be about the size of a small pea. So I'm going to break this up with my fork until that happens. Okay, here's the bowl up close, and you can see that the fat is in about little pea-sized molecules surrounding the flour, and that's how it should look. Okay, now I'm going to add the moisture to our pie crust, which in this case is water. You want it to be ice cold, so I've added some ice cubes to it and let it set for a little while, so it's very cold. This will help keep the fat intact until you put it in the oven, and then it melts and becomes that nice flaky crust. I'm going to add it a tablespoon at a time until it becomes, till it pulls away from the sides and can form a ball. Okay. So basically you want to form it into a ball, and then instead of kneading, we're going to spank the dough. My mom always told me that you knead a bread dough and you spank a pie crust. So essentially this is what's making it kind of stay together, but also keeping it delicate. Alright, we're going to talk about filling now. I went ahead and preheated my oven to 425 while we're getting things ready, so that it'll be ready when we bake the pie. Now, cherry pie filling or pie filling in the can is great for breakfast things, for crepes, or for maybe cherry turnovers, but please promise me you'll never use it in a pie, because making your own pie filling is so simple and it's so much better, so much better. So what I have here is 2 cans of tart cherries packed in water. I drained them and I put them in my bowl. You can also use frozen tart cherries, that's fine. Now I'm going to add 3/4 cup of sugar, just plain sugar, and between 1/4 and 1/3 cup of flour. That will help thicken the juices as they bake, and so that your pie won't be really runny. It will be nice and thick when you cut your pie. Just stir that around till you get it all mixed together. And you have a good cherry pie filling. But I don't want a good cherry pie filling. I want the best cherry pie filling. So I'm going to add half a teaspoon of almond extract. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but it makes all the difference in the world. So just add a little bit of that, and people will say, "What is that in your cherry pie?" And you'll say, "It's a secret." Okay, we're going to roll out the crust now. I'm going to take the larger of my 2 dough balls, and flour is your best friend when making pie crust. You really can't have too much. I take that back. You can have too much if you just dump it out. If you find that you've added too much and it's falling apart, just add a little bit more water. But a generous amount of flour on the board. And you can flour your rolling pin and your surface. And it works best to kind of make a circular shape as you're rolling out. It'll fit into the pie pan easier. The bottom crust can be a little bit thicker than the top crust, but basically you just want to make sure you have enough surface area to fill the bottom and the sides of your pie plate. So sometimes I like to set it on top. I think I need go a little more over on this side. Alright, now the best way to pick up your pie crust is on your rolling pin. So we're going to put it towards the top, roll it up with our fingers, and then slowly roll it as you're going so that it's halfway of your rolling pin. Now you don't need to put anything inside your pan because this has enough shortening in it that it won't stick to anything. So now we're just going to roll it in our pan here, trying to get into the center as much as possible. Whew, there we go. Okay, put it down into the sides. Okay, now we're going to cut off the excess. So just take a knife, cut off the excess of your pie crust. Okay, we're going to add our filling. Okay, we do the same thing for the top crust. We're going to make our flour barrier here and get the smaller of our two dough balls. And the same thing, roll it out. It doesn't need to be quite as big because it's not going up the sides of the pie pan. So basically just needs to cover the top with a little bit of overlap so you can do something fancy on the side. Now we need to be a little bit creative. You need to have some vents in the top of your pie crust so that the air can escape while the pie is baking. But this is where you get a chance to be creative. They make different pie cutter shapes if you would like to do that. Okay, here's a close-up of the decorative pie crust. Alright, now we're going to place the top pie crust onto the top of our pie. You do the same way. It's a little bit more delicate with the slits, so you got to be careful here. But you roll it up the same way. And this is the part that's a little bit trickier to get in the middle here. There we go. Not too bad at all. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to cut farther around so that we can make a decorative edge to our pie. So I usually go maybe an inch outside the pie pan. And so you're just going to cut that off the whole way around. Alright, so now what we're going to do is take the edge, fold it under both crusts, and lay it against, oven's ready, and lay it against the edge. Okay, we're going to do that all the way around. I have taken my crust and punched it under all the way around. Now we're going to do our decorative flare. For our decoration, we're going to make essentially a fluting effect on the outside. And the best way to do that is to take your thumbs and your fingers and you're going to punch the dough in with your thumbs and create a curve with your index fingers. And you can push it down on the side of the pie pan. It creates a really nice fluting effect and it allows the crust to stick to the pan as it's baking instead of shrinking in. Okay, so this is the part that I have fluted and this is the part that I haven't yet. You take your index finger, push up, while your other two fingers are pushing down. And it creates that nice fluted effect. And there's the finished product. Alright, our pie is almost ready to go in the oven, but I have one more trick that will take your pie from good to great. I just have some regular milk here and a pastry brush. I'm just going to put some milk on the crust. This will give it some shine. And then the final is a sprinkling of sugar on the top. This will give it a nice brown color and a wonderful crunchiness to the crust. So good. I have here a pie shield, which you can get at the store. It works really great for protecting the crust while the filling is cooking so that the crust doesn't brown too much. Put this on for the first 20 and then take it off for the last 10 to 15. Okay, so just place it on there, then we'll put it in the oven. Alright, our pie is in the oven, and if you don't have a pie shield, you can use tin foil on the outside. I have removed the pie shield and I'm going to put the pie in for about another probably 10 minutes. My pie is baked and you can see how the sugar has made it kind of shiny and crunchy. Oh, amazing. So good. Okay, we're gonna let it cool. I've put on a cooling rack here to have the air circulate underneath so it cools faster. We're gonna let it cool and then we're gonna try some. All right, my pie is done. Let's give it a taste. The best cherry pie. That's it for me. Thanks for watching Cooking with Courtney, where I'm on a mission to teach you how to cook with recipes you'll actually make. Thanks.